Hello and welcome back to Sea Red UK, where quite simply it's a Chicago Bulls thing. Wherever you're listening, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you rate, review, subscribe. It helps us out and ensures you don't miss another episode. I'm Matt, and as usual, joined by Neill. How are you doing, Neill?
I'm good, thank you very much. Looking forward to this chat tonight. As you can see, we have a third box on the screen tonight, so we'll get into the introductions of that in a second.
Yep, as Neill says, if you're watching, you'll see we've got a third person with us, and that is our lead writer from SeaRedUK.com, Sam. How are we doing, Sam?
I'm good, thanks, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good. A little bit apprehensive about this one, shall we say? I know you like to push my buttons, and I've had a bad day as it is, so it could go all over the place.
This will be
I think
fun.
that makes for a good episode. I'm looking forward to this. I'm pretty much taking a back seat tonight. I'm going to leave you two just go at it. I'll play referee if need be.
Yeah, so as I say, Sam's our lead writer at SeaRedUK.com, big part of SeaRed UK and the community that we've kind of set up. Big part in the chat. Tends to push my buttons a lot, so I'll hand it back to you, Sam, to explain your Bulls fandom a little bit.
All right, well, sorry. Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me. I don't know, being a Bulls fan basically came a bit naturally to me because I started playing basketball when I was about 11 or 12, and then I didn't have a team, so I religiously followed Kobe Bryant, and that was it. But Neill will be very happy to know that I hate the Lakers, so it was kind of like just watching one player kind of thing. And then by chance, I saw Kobe versus a 7 foot Joakim Noah and absolutely fell in love and not changed ever since.
Yeah, Joakim has that effect on people, all right.
Absolutely. That's my guy. In the words of Matt.
Obviously, you're a bit younger than myself and Neill. So, to let us know where you're at, let us know your all-time favourite Bull and your current favourite Bull.
Okay, so kind of gave the game away a little bit, but I think my all-time favourite Bull would have to be Joakim Noah. Like, I love the fact that the minimum, and I mean the minimum you get from this guy is 110%. If you remember, his jump shot was just not pretty. He wasn't a great shooter. His free throws made me sad, but everything else was just breathtaking. So even though we all know MJ's the GOAT, I've got to say Joe Camino is my favourite Bull of all time. And my favourite Bull right now, it's kind of torn because he's always injured, but it's Lonzo. I absolutely adore his game. So if I'd say right now, this second, I'll have to go with P. Will.
One for you, Neill.
One for me. It's about time I won something because I'm not winning at the match. This is Neill.
I have to give you that assist, I have to help you out.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Matt versus Neill. So we're not doing one tonight, but I took the last one, so it's now 2-1 in the series to me.
I was robbed in the last one. Robbed.
Hey.
I think Matt won it fair and square. I have to be honest here. I think I have to.
I thought I had it.
Hey, you thought you had the second one as well, but you chose Jimmy Butler and just threw the game out the window.
I knew the game was lost with the second one as soon as he got me confused with Jimmy Butler.
Wait.
I was done.
To get this started early, are you saying that Jimmy Butler wins games?
I'll let Matt answer that one.
He won that. I'll give him that. That's as far as
Very diplomatic.
I have had a couple of rants lined up for today, and I wasn't prepared for a Jimmy Butler rant. So.
See the way you can be not prepared for somebody to throw out Jimmy Butler. It can throw you off the game completely.
Only Matt can. Before this, I've not done too much prep, but he's got two arguments ready to go.
I'm always ready with an argument.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you got anything for Sam before we crack on, Neill.
Not too much about it really. Just you said you played a little bit of basketball. So what was that? School or county or what level did you get to? Or
well, it's a bit of a weird one because I actually played National League a few years ago, next to where Matt is. I played for the Hull Wasps, Division 4, and then I went to Kingston Panthers for like a season. And that's, Matt knows what that is, obviously.
Yeah.
Went to uni, discovered drinking and women in that order, and took a bit of a break from basketball. Nowadays, I play as much as I can, but I'm coaching about 3 or 4 times a week as well, just locally, like down the road from me. And it's of all ages and this kind of stuff. So I'm trying to appreciate all aspects of basketball. But yeah, it's an obsession. I'll put it nicely. But yeah.
Yeah, well, we can appreciate that. I think we can be classed as slightly obsessed too.
Well, this is the thing. I really dreamt of being in the NBA one day, but then I realised that I've not grown since turning 5'5". So yeah.
We all have that problem.
Well,
Yeah, exactly. All right, Neil,
5'5",
I saw your jump shot. With that and the little twist and all this kind of stuff.
So
yeah. So yeah, on with the bulk of the episode. Obviously, last recording was done before the draft, and we had the draft on Friday morning for us. Since then, myself and Neill have put out our Bulls Blitz, giving a quick opinion on it, but we'll go in a bit more depth now, I guess. Obviously, I know you got up at 1 o'clock as well, Sam. You was in the chat with us,
yes.
Or you stayed up, whichever way it was. Obviously, for myself, I stayed up till the 23rd pick because that's where I thought Bulls were going to come in. And then I went to bed, and then I was up at 4:30 for work, and that's pretty much when Shams' notification dropped that Bulls were making some moves. And that move was, well, Celtics had the 35th pick, traded to Wizards in the Porzingis trade, and then Bulls have reportedly moved 2 future second-round picks for the rights to Julian Phillips. And I say reportedly because it's not actually been confirmed anyway, has it? And that's kind of leading people to think that there's a bigger move coming as part of it. I don't know what you two think on that.
I definitely think that, and I'm jumping the gun a bit here, but I definitely think from what AK said in the presser, which I'm sure we'll get into a small bit at least, he's alluding to the fact that they have some sort of a play ready to go. They're obviously not giving the game away. They're not letting us know what it is, but it definitely feels like they're ready to play some sort of a move. It's just whether or not that move is going to be something that will appease the fans or not. That's the big question. Will it be enough?
Yeah, and before we get too much onto the Julian Phillips, or as I keep trying to say, Justin Phillips, because it rolls off the tongue a lot better. And I know a few other podcasters have done the same thing. So if I do end up calling him Justin, that's why. Sounds better.
Yeah, I think he needs to just change his name. Julian, if you're listening, Justin Phillips sounds better. Go for it. Change it.
No, we're not having that. It's King Julian. All right.
Oh yeah, King Julian. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I mean, obviously, this is where one of my first rants is going to come in. It seems to have been met with a lot of negativity by Bulls Nation and even like your bigger podcast sort of and creators, whatever. And I think that's leading the way the narrative they're pushing is making Bulls Nation be negative towards the pick as well. And I get it was underwhelming. People wanted us to be that top 3, even top 10, even top 23, whatever you want to call it. And obviously we weren't. But as I said in the latest bulletin that I put up, and I think when I shared Sam's piece as well, you've got to give these players a chance. People are down on him before he's even arrived in Chicago. And I guarantee you that 95% of the people that are down on him know nothing about him. because it's just a name. Because it wasn't a name that they wanted, that's it. Write him off. He's another Dale and Terry. We're not going to develop him. We're not going to do this. Blah blah blah. And for me, I'm not overly excited by him, but I'm excited by the prospect of him, if that makes sense. My opinion is, I think he's going to be this year's Dale and Terry. And what I mean by that is, he'll be on the bench for the majority of the season, drop down to Windy City, and occasionally get a bit of garbage time. And I mean, that's something else I'll touch on later on with Dalen. But yeah, I'll hand it to you, Sam, because I know you're extremely excited by him. And you wrote a pretty decent piece over at SeaRedUK.com about it. You did your research on him, put it that way.
Yeah, that's the issue for me. So, researching into him, I sincerely thought, right, so we've got young, athletic guy, obviously 19, his wingspan's almost like 7 foot. He can defend pretty much 1 through 4 as of right now. We've all seen the highlights. That guy can defend with his life. The only thing that I personally kind of makes me, it makes me hesitant is the fact that the week before it, we find out DJJ's not coming back. And my first thought is AK's just brought in Julian Phillips just to replace DJJ. And if that's the point, that's a waste of pick. You're replacing a bench player multiple years down the line that played backup centre for 20 minutes a game, some games. But in terms of the actual opportunity that is there, like I say, he's 19. Like Matt has very rightly just said, he can develop into whatever we can develop him into. And now we've got a sort of a structure whereby Peter Patton is sort of going to help him learn to shoot, etc. We've all seen the workout videos. I don't know about you guys, but it makes me a bit kind of like giddy seeing them, like seeing all our guys together, seeing the future together in like Pat and Dalen, all training with Demar. If they can get like a Demar kind of jump shot, then we are going to be laughing in a couple of years' time. But it's all potential, and like you say, he's not going to be coming starts the first game. It won't happen, unfortunately, but it's a long-term process.
Yeah, then Neill, well, I know you're pretty much on par with us two that it's a move for the future rather than a move for now. So we had a bit more time to take it in and do a bit more research, I guess. Where are you at with him now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much of a similar mindset. I do think that with what we have is we have a very young core and a very old core in our full roster. And there's kind of, the ones that are at the top end are the ones that are kind of the better players. So they're going to age out eventually in the coming next, 3 years, 4 years max. And then you've got this young group. That's what we need to feed for the future. That's what we need to develop. That's what we need to move forward with. And this is another piece towards doing that. And it makes sense that if we are going to run it back, which looks the most likely situation, at least to some degree, that while we have that experience and those veteran players there, that they can impart their knowledge and their skill onto these young guys and bring that core forward. And we might actually be looking at a relevant team in the next maybe 2, 3, 4 years' time.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'm kind of thinking about is I put in the article, and I literally just typed it, and then I thought afterwards about how incredible this could be. But could you imagine, say, not this year, but the year after, if we have a bench of Kobe, P. Will, Phillips, along with like maybe a Caruso and maybe Andre if he wants to stick around, but like another kind of defensive big. No one is scoring past that lineup.
Yeah.
Like, bring the bench mob back.
Yeah.
Say again?
Until Drummond gets chaotic.
Oh.
Yeah, but Billy just needs to bench him in time, embrace the chaos, and then stop the chaos before it gets too chaotic. And if he can right, it works.
Yeah. What about a 2 dribble rule? If he dribbles it twice, bench him, get him out.
I don't know. I quite like it when he runs with the ball and dribbles it a little bit. It's just when he starts doing it more than one play, that's when it becomes a bigger issue.
Do you remember when we played the Clippers? And it's when Reggie Jackson was playing for them. And he goes down the paint and he gets, I think he gets a block on someone. He comes down and he tries to post up Reggie Jackson from the 3-point line and just shovels the guy to the floor. And he's like, what do you mean offensive foul? What? You're like a foot taller than him. Oh, God.
It's the chaos.
that's where Billy needs to go. Right, okay, he's getting a bit too excitable. It's time to sit him down, let the adrenaline just come down a small bit, and then inject him back into it again. And I do think if Billy learns that about him, and maybe he has learned that a little bit more, he'll actually be. I mean, he's some player to pull off the bench. I mean, he literally averages almost a board a minute. It's incredible.
I think the best Chicago Bull of all time is Andre Drummond versus Spurs. Every single time, he just goes ballistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, going back to Phillips, the biggest thing what everyone's sort of downside on him is shooting.
Right.
And yeah, it does look like it could be a problem. But if you actually look into him properly, before college, he was a decent shooter. He's a decent free throw shooter as well. So he's got the mechanics of it there. I think you just got to put him in the right system. Looking from what everyone's sort of saying, there was a podcast went out that Big Dave mentioned on CHGO where it was his high school coach or something. It said, he is a good shooter. It's just when he went to college, they changed the systems and he just didn't fit in that system. So, like I say, to me, you've got to give him a chance. Obviously, the first chance is going to be Summer League. I believe he gets introduced to as a Bull on Sunday at the Advocate. And that's something else that's sort of disappointing me a little bit is the lack of hype, I guess, from Bulls themselves. I know he's not officially been announced yet, or they're not done all the official presses and stuff like that, but at least put a few videos out with him in, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? There was one the day after the draft, and that was it. And I kind of think
Do you think that? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just say I kind of think that I don't know if they're trying to build the excitement around him or if it's just like, yeah, it was a move, crack on sort of thing.
Well, one of the things is I think because it's like what you said earlier. We don't know what we traded how many second round picks for him. So maybe it's more of a case of get that deal finalized, like done, dusted, cemented 100%, and then maybe announce it. Not sure.
Yeah, I'd say there's a good chance that that's what it is. That the fine print hasn't been settled on yet. And once it's all done and dusted and signed off, I'd say we'll hear a bit more. I can't imagine them just letting it kind of disappear into the ethos. I'd say they're definitely going to come out and make a bit of a deal of him once it's all done officially.
Yeah. I mean, I've got nothing else on him. I don't know if either of you two have before we move on to the next bit of draft night news.
Well, sorry.
Go on, Sam. No, go on, Sam.
I was going to say, let me have a go at kind of convince you guys maybe about sort of like the shot profile. So I put it in the article, but the dude shot 6 shots a game in college. So that's official. Okay, so 2 of them were 3-pointers and the rest were at the rim. He took 11 pull-up jump shots in the entire year. So in that system they were playing, obviously I'm not going to say he's like a 100% shooter or anything ridiculous like that. But Matt's right. He was a great shooter. He went to a college system where he wasn't even allowed to shoot. And then, it just kind of went from there. But there was actually, I had to really sort of delve into the bag for this one. But there was a 5-game period where 3 of Tennessee starters were all benched. And the guy averaged, it was something like 15.6 points a game. But he was shooting 39% from 3. And he was shooting like a few more shots. He got the rebounds. It was like Dalen Terry kind of numbers. So it's there, but it's just he didn't get the shots. So might be a steal,
Yeah, I've got kind of a 2-ended question on that then, right? The first question is the negative. I'll do the negative one first before I do the positive one, right? But the negative question is there fear then that he'll come into the Bulls system and the Bulls system will be like it was in UConn and it won't suit him? And therefore he's going to be a bit of a dud then, even if he's not. But in our system, he comes across like a dud.
The best way I could sort of describe that is if we had any pro shooters in our system, they'd look like gods. But it's one of the things. I can give you the cliche answer, probably like an AK answer. His defense, could play from game one, etc., etc. But I think you have got a point in terms of he's not been shooting throughout college. That's an entire year. I don't know what he's been doing in training and all this kind of stuff, but he's not been in game shooting, so he's probably not used to it. There is that issue of maybe he's not used to it. He might just disappear like P will in the first year. But yeah, I can't give you a concrete answer, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those we'll just have to wait and see type situations. But then,
absolutely,
on the plus side of that, I mean, if there is something that's gone awry with the mechanics of his shot, in a system now or in a team, a professional team where he's going to be putting up thousands of shots a day, and he's going to have someone like Peter Patton there that's going to be working with him on the mechanics of his shot, there is a good chance then that he corrects that shot quite quickly, because the original mechanics, his natural shooting ability was there before it kind of was lost at college. So, I mean, if he can get back to that and even improve on it, there's a good chance that this guy could actually turn out to be a massive, massive gold mine that was found in the middle of nowhere, really, in the picks, at number 35. I mean, there is a chance that this guy was incredibly underrated as a choice in this year's draft.
And are you not both excited by taking the chance? We don't want the same old players, etc., etc.
100%. I am completely, and that's why I'm not high on the pick, but I'm high on the prospect of the pick.
Oh, absolutely. Well, one of the things is, from what I can see from just like stepping back and looking at his highlights, etc., the only weakness is his shot. All anyone can say that's wrong with him is his shot. So what do we fix first?
Yeah, I mean, how I look at it is, at the end of the day, he's a second round pick, and you've got to kind of limit yourself to remembering that he's a second round pick.
Yeah,
we know he's not a generational talent, as you tend to get obviously in your first three picks, but at least have some excitement about him as well. Do you know what I mean? Because you get your late first rounds, early second rounds, obviously players like Joker that just come from nowhere. And what's to say this kid done? I mean, in the draft combine, he hit, was it 16 or 25 threes or something like that?
Yeah,
I think I've seen. And then I don't know. I know you've both seen it. I don't know if anyone listening seen it. That video of Wemby when he got introduced at Spurs, couldn't hit anything.
Yeah,
and he's a generational talent. So, you know what I mean? It's until they're in a game situation, I think it's impossible to really judge. But I'm going to put it out there now. I like to put my little ride my train, so to speak. I'm going to say, come the end of the season, Bulls fans are calling for him to be in the team.
Yeah.
As they were with Dalen last year.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on him.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Yeah. Save this podcast, guys.
Put it out there.
It's coming back.
I can just hear it on the waves now. Matt claims to be his guy.
Yeah. When he gets like 13 points in a G League game, Matt's like, "That's my guy. That's my guy right there. There he is. That's him."
Hey, when he does that, that's when Bulls Nation will be wanting him in the main roster. So,
fact.
Very
my
true.
claim
Very
comes true.
Yeah, well, I've got kind of 2 points to sort of make on the end there. Firstly, it's not Bulls related, but do you guys feel really bad for Wembyama? I feel so bad for him.
What, for missing all those shots?
Yeah, so that's clearly what I meant. He's just no, it's just like the media. I was sort of saying, like, I saw Chris Broussard say if he's AD or Olajuwon, he's a bust, and it's like, what?
I mean, there's no question about it. I don't think I've seen a player with that amount of pressure and that amount of expectation since LeBron.
Yeah, people do this all the time. Look at Zion; they were like the next LeBron.
Yeah, I know, and they were claiming nobody's ever seen a body that can move like this before with Zion as well. You're right.
I think that Maria has. Maria.
Then he found porn stars. So.
I was trying to make the same joke.
Yeah, well, allegedly, according to Mariah Mills and her new face tattoo.
Oh God,
she's obviously unforgettable.
Oh my God. thing is though, like the
more
Book of Zion is like a Jewish like relic, isn't it? And it's like an old Jewish text. Like, is she religious or has she found the religion of Zion Williamson? It's kind of like, okay.
I don't know. But you spend weeks tearing him a new one on the socials, and the next thing is you're there getting a face tattoo with his name. It makes no sense.
Money, 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 money.
Anywho,
No, my second part of the question is: did you guys see his interview where he didn't actually do the how would you call it? He didn't do any tryouts of that with the Bulls. He wasn't on that
Yeah.
list.
Yeah, he'd been interviewed by him, but he'd not
Yeah.
actually worked out for him,
That's
didn't he?
Yeah. Like, how does that work?
I guess they obviously done some scouting on him somewhere to know what he's like as a player.
I
And
really
Now they
hope
just-
so.
see what he's like.
Yeah.
they just threw a dartboard at the remaining names and landed on him.
Possibly.
I guess we'll
Yeah.
see. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Obviously, after the draft, you get the usual pickups of you know your undrafted players, and Bulls went in with Adama Sanogo, a was he 6'9" big out of UConn. Final Four most outstanding player. Obviously won the NCAA national title with the Huskies. And he was somebody that was set to go in the second round anyway, I believe. Again, didn't know anything about him until it come out that Bulls had pretty much agreed to sign him on a two-way. As obviously I know you two did as well. You go on YouTube, you look at all the videos, and it's like I've said in different things. Like, we know how it works with these two-way deals. They kind of sign them, go through summer league, go through training camp, go through preseason, and then the decision's made. You're either benched, waived, or down at Windy City. Either or, do you know what I mean? I like what I've seen of him, to be fair. Again, he doesn't particularly fill a set need that Bulls have got. But I kind of think as well, if you don't sign these players up, you're missing out on the possibility of them. Now, people say that he's undersized for his position, and that's where he's going to get found out in the NBA, and it's possibly why he fell out of the draft. But yeah, I'll pass it to you first, Neill. Where are you at with him?
Well, you say undersized for his position. He played centre in college, right?
Mm.
I mean, I wouldn't expect him to come in and play centre for the Bulls or for any NBA team, for that matter. But I mean, he'd slot into the 4 position more so than the 5. So at 6'9", he's relatively well built for his age. He's what, 21, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's 21.
He's a unit as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's massive.
Yeah. So I mean, and by the time he's had an off season of building up as well, he's going to be even more stacked. And I think he's another one of these swing and miss or swing and strike, strike it over the fields and out of the park type player. He could be another great find, or he could be a complete bust. And with these late pick people, especially the ones that fall out of the draft altogether, he could just become a good role piece for us. I don't expect him to be anything more than that. But I'm excited to see him from his highlights. I like what I see. I look forward to seeing him actually playing during the summer league and getting a real grasp as to what kind of a player he is.
Yeah. Just quickly back on Julian Phillips. There's me saying that Bulls aren't hyping him up, and apparently he's had his first day at the UC today. They've actually shared some. So, yeah. Shut up, Matt.
Hey, at least you saved it mid-pod.
Yeah.
We can delete
It doesn't come out till
that.
tomorrow, does it? So
I'll delete out a chunk of about 5 or 6 minutes talking about it.
But yeah, anyway, away from that. What are you thinking on him, Sam, on Sanogo?
Well, tell me if you've heard this one before, but you could probably defend 1 through 5 now. But so obviously he's 6'9", right? And Bam Adebayo was about 6'9", so you can kind of get that kind of that's kind of like the high end, the best of the best of the best. Like that's he could defend like that, but yeah, I don't know why this guy wasn't drafted. But he's got a military background. Apparently, his parents are strict as can be, which is always a good thing because they were raised correctly, kind of thing. But I don't know. He's solid. Again, I don't think he's going to make the roster this year, but Windy City, he maybe comes back up and all this kind of stuff, like you guys have said. But yeah, he's really good. He's good around the rim, basically, and he's 6'9", so he can defend. I think best as a power forward. But I've put in my article, which I will be releasing in a couple of days' time. Like, is he a Andre Drummond replacement, or is he a Marko Simonovic replacement?
Mark who?
I was waiting for that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, my sort of thing on him is they've at least got to keep him around at Windy City. If they see him as that much of a prospect, he's at least got to be at Windy City on the two-way. Occasionally see him in garbage time. Just see what he can do. And people constantly complain about the development from Bulls. You've got to have the players there to develop, and I know we've got a long list of them at the minute, but I kind of think that Bulls are actually developing these players, and people are just that against it now that they don't see it.
Mm.
And to me, the prime example is Kobe, because there's only him and Zach that are left from the old regime.
Oh
Why have they
God, yeah.
kept Kobe around? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what we now you're going into year 4 of AK, and it's what, year 5 for Kobe. So they've had 3 years where, to me, they've pretty much developed him. And look at where we got. They say, don't they, that development can take 3 to 5 years for an NBA player. And I think going back to Julian Phillips a little bit in terms of development, and in fact, you can go back to Dalen last year. The 19, I mean, and what Dalen now 20, innit? But at 19, you're not fully developed as a human, let alone as an NBA player. So in 3 years, when he's 22, he's got 3 years NBA experience or development with an NBA team. He's another 3 years developed as a human. If you think back when, like, you were 19 to what you were at 22, your body's changed. And if you start a job at 19 and you're still in that job at 22, you're a lot better at that job as well. And I think people are expecting Bulls development to be, like that overnight. And it's not, is it? Do you know what I mean? Everyone develops at different stages. And I just think Bulls are putting the right pieces in place for these players to develop. For this young core that they're putting together, in 2-3 years' time, as long as we've kept them and they're developing at a certain rate, then who knows? But if you write these young players off straight away before they've even turned up in Chicago, then you've got nobody to develop, have you? So, yeah, I don't know if either of you two got any more on Sonogo. See, there's a bit of a quiet pick on it, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, same as no, I think I think it's a wait and see. He's a wait and see prospect. I want to see him play before I judge him.
Yeah, and then I mean, one other bit of news that sort of come out, and as I put it out on the socials, Bulls have reportedly, and I'm going to completely butcher his name, even though I got advice on how to say it.
You want me to take it?
Yeah, go for
I've
it.
been practicing.
Go on, it's time to shine, mate. Time to shine. Let's do it.
Here we go. Onuralf bit him.
There you go. Turkish guy bit him. Now, obviously, again, we went on to all the videos and stuff like that, bit of research on him, and he was the one we were most excited about. And then it's come out just before we started recording that they haven't signed him to a two-way. However, there is the mutual interest there for it to happen at some point. And, well, I'll let you take it, Sam, because I know you was very excited and then ultimately very gutted.
Genuinely heartbroken, and I can say it's the only time that Turkish man has made me feel that way. Um, it's so we're. I'm just going to say Bittim because I'm not even going to try it with my voice and that name. No. um, so this is the guy that I was so confident. I was like, this guy could be in the roster next year. He's going to be in the summer league team. He's going to get offered a contract. He's in, done, dusted. Mean defender, good size. He's a physical guy, two-time dunk champion, 40% from free, which everybody loved. But he looks like a B-Tech Luka Doncic. Like, you just get the ball, he can make playmaking, do like some basic stuff. It looked like such a good fit, and I was ready for him to be on the team. But yeah, it went so quickly. One of the worst things though is I was speaking to a friend about him, and I said bit him. And if you guys have ever seen, do you know Little Britain from like a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Someone thought I said, yeah. Someone
Bitty.
thought I said Bitty. I want Bitty, and I was like, no, I want bit him, and it just went completely out of hand. And yeah, so I got mocked for saying Bitty. He's left me. It's over. It's a sad day. It's a sad day.
Yeah. And Neill, I know you was excited by him as well.
I was. I really like the look of this guy. He had all the makings of being a fan favorite and real hard-nosed looking player, which, you know, that kind of blue collar play is always embraced by Bulls Nation. And you know, he really was the kind of player I thought that would be endeared to all fans, Bulls nationwide. But it's not been ruled out. It's just been kind of said now that, well, no, there's been no official talks. But the fact that they've said that both sides are still interested, it could happen. It has to happen. I want it to happen.
Thank you. It has to happen.
Home. If he's interested in transgressing to the NBA, and the Bulls look like a fit that he's interested in, and the Bulls are interested in taking him and finding that kind of a player, I don't see any reason why it doesn't get done. It's just a matter of when it gets done.
Yeah, I mean, reportedly AK was over watching a Euro League game, wasn't he? That, and apparently now people are linking it that it was Bittim that he was watching. And a lot of people kind of think that he could actually just skip the two-way and go straight onto the roster. So, I mean, obviously, we're heading into free agency when moves are going to start getting made. Who knows? They might just completely skip the two-way, bring him over for summer league, let him show what they've got, and then sign him to a like a.
There he is.
Just disappeared into the shadow there. It threw me.
Yeah, you just blurred out and disappeared.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, there's still hope that it gets done. And we'll have a lot more to say on it, I think, when it does, because I spoke to someone in Turkey last night and got a bit more of a more upfront opinion on him. So if it gets done, well, I'll let you know what was said. And I know, Sam, you were writing a piece on him that was going to include it as well. So yeah, keep an eye on Seared UK for that.
One of the things I want to sort of say is, for me, it kind of reasserted AK, because obviously when he came, we were thinking this guy's got global scouts. You know, you'd find European steals here, there, and everywhere, and we'd build a team of like all this kind of stuff. And he was the first one I was thinking, okay, maybe he's got something, but yeah, it's gone.
Yeah, so I mean, that's obviously pretty much it for draft night. I don't know if you want to say anything on the AK presser, Neill. I mean, for me, it was
we covered it in our Bulls Blitz. If anybody wants to go and listen to that, but yeah, I mean, it was a lot of lip service. It was a lot of kind of what you'd expect to hear, but there were a few little takes out of it. One was, it definitely sounded like they do want to make a deal with Vooch. They definitely do seem to be looking at running it back, but with a few additions. The other big point that came out of it was that he again reiterated that he has the green light to go into the luxury tax, but he also then stymied that slightly by saying it would also have to be for a maybe 6 or even better seeded team. And the question there is like, do you have to prove that you have that team before you go into the luxury tax, or can you go into the luxury tax in order to create that team? And that's the bit for me that is, which comes first. The last thing about it that I'd take out of it, and this was the thing that really excited me and has put a temporary set of belief back into AK for me. And I do say temporary because it's only hanging on there until the end of next week. He said very confidently, wait and see. Don't judge what we've done until you see what happens in free agency. And he made it really sound like, I've got a big play coming here and you're going to love me for it. So let me make the play and then judge me. So I'm going to hang back and decide from there. But if it is something like, as is doing the rounds at the moment, something like a Derrick Rose move, as much as I want to see Derrick back in Chicago, if that becomes the move, that ain't it. That ain't it at all. But if it does end up becoming some sort of a massive move that takes us all by surprise, well, who knows? Maybe we'll believe in Acme once again.
Here at Sea Reg UK, we have our ongoing partnership with Victory Sports UK. Victory Sports UK is a UK-based sports apparel and equipment store where you can get your NBA and other sporting goods. Get kitted out in your favourite team gear and rep your squad all summer long. And all Sea Reg UK group members and followers can avail of a special discount code for 15% off their entire range, including products already on sale. Just make sure you're liking and following Sea Reg UK on Twitter or become part of the Sea Reg UK group on Facebook to receive your exclusive discount code upon request. Visit victorysportsuk.co.uk to seal your victory with Victory Sports UK. Go on and check it out. It makes sense.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll move on to free agency then, as you've segued us into it quite nicely. And yeah, I mean, going back to the presser quickly, that was the bit that's kind of got me excited, was wait until free agency and then see judges, see what we've done. And it's like I keep saying, I think at the minute it's all about patience.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, myself included, Bulls fans don't have any patience. We want to see them big moves now. And in terms of free agency, obviously we've got, is it the 29th? Up until the 29th for Drummond to opt in or out.
Yeah.
Which is what, Thursday. And then we've got until Friday to extend Vooch before he enters free agency. Obviously, we can send the qualifying offers to Ayo and Kobe. I think we've got until the 7th to guarantee Marku's contract for the year.
Aye.
And obviously, in all of that, free agency opens at, I think it's 11 p.m. for us here in the UK on Friday. So yeah, as he said, wait and see what he does, and I guess we'll go into what do we think he's going to do, or what we'd like him to do, more to the point. And this is probably where it gets a bit interesting between me and Sam, because we have very different opinions, shall we say.
This is my turn to take a seat and watch.
Well, I'll pass it to you first then, Neill. What are you expecting, and what, if there's any players out there, who would you like them to try and get?
It's a tough one, really, because I mean, obviously, our areas of need are what need to be addressed, and the areas of need at this stage, I think everybody knows what they are. They've been flogged like a dead horse. We need a point guard who preferably can shoot, but who can certainly run the floor. We need shooting from distance, and we need someone who can protect the rim. Now, I can't see them being able to tick all those boxes, certainly not all in one hit. So what you have to do then is you have to kind of prioritize it. And for me, the two main priorities are a floor general and shooting. So ideally, if you can get someone who can do both, like Lonzo could, you are absolutely nailing free agency. The problem is, when you look at the players that are kind of capable of doing that, I don't like them. So what do? Right. I suppose for me, looking at the list, and there's quite an extensive list of point guards that are available in free agency that's coming up. I mean, yeah, I think my favourite out of them is probably going to be Fred VanVleet, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
Aside from that, going from the point guard situation, looking for a shooter. I mean, the shooting guard position we're pretty much already stacked. But there are a couple of players there that I like in that position. Aside from that, in the small forward position, you're looking at someone maybe like a KJ Martin from Houston. I think he kind of fits the bill quite well. He'd be coming in off the bench maybe as a shooter, and he's able to defend as well quite well. I'd take someone like that. At the shooting guard position, if we were to hemorrhage someone from that position and create a bit of space, I wouldn't mind someone like a Dante DiVincenzo. I think he's a good shooter. He's also quite good on defense, and again, like that, he's a real role player that can come in off the bench and make a difference.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't got a list of free agents in front of me, but
No, so
I'm kind of.
You read my writing.
Obviously, like you say, we know the position of need, and like you said, one of the things, rim protection.
Mm-hmm.
For me, rim protection starts at the arc, basically. Everybody's got to do some sort of rim protection, whether it's at the rim or at the arc. And again, it goes back to Julian Phillips. Is that what they've brought him in for? Bit of rim protection. He's a very good on-ball defender. My other option is pushing Dalen Terry into more minutes.
Mm-hmm.
We know what he's like. He's got that dog in him, hasn't he? You know what I mean? He's going to chase and chase and chase. In terms of point guard, I don't agree with it, but I think they're going to go for the easy option of re-signing Kobe and have Kobe as a starting point guard. He can shoot. Obviously, we know he's a microwave scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Inconsistent with his shot, but he's improving. And we've seen him in the workout videos and stuff like that. So I think that's where they're going to go. And I think then they're going to try and use the money, what they've got, to try and bring in a legit four to either work in front of P. Will or behind him, whichever it happens to be. And I think that's where the shooter's going to come in. So I don't know who's on that list in it. But yeah,
there's a few good names on the list at the four position. I don't know if there's anybody broader than me listing people out. Is there anybody that you had in mind, Sam?
okay, so obviously you guys made like every point that needs to be said. Like we all know what we need, but there's two people that I feel like we could get quite cheap. So I can never say his name right, but he was at Brooklyn, power forward, Yuta Wabe, something like that. Yeah, so a 40% shooter, but he could literally just stand in the corner. And my idea is, I don't think we're going to go big in free agency. And I'm a Bulls fan. I've been beaten down so much that now I'm going to be pessimistic and keep it cheap. But if we've got a lot of players that have like a little bit of playmaking in them, DeMar can. Zach was actually a point guard coming out of college. Kobe can be the point guard. We've got Vooch who can pass as well. So we'll try and make up for it with that. But if we have Utawabe like sort of in the corners or something like that, then it just opens up the floor and it's what we need. Cheap and effective. But my one of my favorite ones would be Rui Hachimura for the Lakers. I think he'd be perfect fit.
Yeah, Rui's a good player. I like Rui.
Yeah. And obviously the first priority is sorting Vooch out as well, isn't it? Getting that deal over the line with Vooch. And then I think the next one is Kobe. As for Ayo, I think they're going to bring him back because he's cheap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think really they have to bring him back as well. That's the thing with it. Because it goes back into what I was saying about developing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, he's a second round pick, wasn't he? So you got to limit your expectations, I think, the fact that he is a second round pick. It was just we saw a lot out of him in that first year.
Yeah.
And obviously, as we know, once they've brought these players back, it doesn't leave us a lot of room, does it? And
No.
obviously, another player on that list that seems to be forgotten about is my guy, Javonte Green.
Yeah.
The OG, your guy.
Yeah, my
I was going to
original
say, well, was he the original guy? Yeah.
guy. Yeah, he still is, but like I say, people have forgotten about him, haven't they, with his injury and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, they can't bring them all back because otherwise, we were in the same position as we was last year. But I think what they're going to try and do is manipulate the roster into making it look different, if that makes sense.
Zach as a centre, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me with Billy. And that's where I think the players like Julian Phillips do come in, because it's like, well, we have added something and it's a cheap option. That's what we've added because we don't want to go into the luxury tax. We've got no cap space. And this is probably where I'm going to push your buttons now, Sam.
Thank God I'm sat down. Let's do it.
I've dropped it in the group quite a lot, just mainly for a reaction. But it's kind of gathering pace a little bit on the socials as well. And it's Pat Bev coming back.
Jesus. No. God, no. I want nobody with a podcast in Chicago. Just get rid of it. No, nah.
I mean, yeah, obviously I was high on Pat Bev before we actually signed him.
You were 100%.
And I think he did an all right job.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, we had a winning record while he was here. But it just goes to show what
Nothing to do with the fact that Zach started playing better at all.
Well,
yeah, that's the bit that everyone forgets. Zach went top 15 in the entire NBA.
We said that at the time, didn't we? Obviously, it was Zach was playing better and everything like that.
Yeah.
But how much of that was down to having that legit point guard? And, you know, we know what Pat Bev's like. He's chirping away on the socials. He's trying to find his next deal.
Yeah.
He's not going to get the 15 million that he wanted. So if you could bring him back on a vet minimum, would you have him back? And then spend the rest of the money on a shooter? Because Pat Bev's not a shooter, as much as he says he is.
True.
Who you asking?
Is that going to me?
Yeah.
Go on, Sam.
Right. See, Pat Bev is weird because, like, do you remember he was on the Clippers a few years ago and he was marking KD full court and he was screaming at the guy and all this kind of stuff. I loved him then, but then ever since the season ended, I've hated him because he's a bit. Yeah. That's it. If it was on a vet minimum, then yes, sure. But like, I don't know about you guys, but I'd be very underwhelmed because it would literally be running it back with the same.
Yeah. It'd have to be a serious sleight of hand to trick people into thinking that they'd done something different. You're right. You're right to some degree that once Pat Bev was there, we had a winning record. But I mean, like I say,
Bev said it.
Well, okay. Well, whoever said it, Pat Bev would also tell you that he shits diamonds. But the thing
France.
is,
whilst he tries to park his car on a side road or something like that. I can't remember what that podcast was, but I got 5 minutes in and I went, "You're an NBA player. Just stop talking."
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I'm not going to criticize because I'm sure there's plenty of people that listen to me talking and think I'm as boring as hell as well. So, but I shut up. So I
play nice, guys. Play nice.
What I think we do need is a point guard. You know, and okay, Pat Bev was the point guard. Was he the point guard we needed? Not necessarily. Was he the point guard that we needed to get us over the hump at the end of the season? Yeah, he was. He was there. He was available. He was cheap. He came with the hype. Everybody got on the hype train after a little while. Then everybody kind of gradually fell off it again. But at the same time, if we could get maybe not Pat Bev, but something else similar to that can run the ball a bit and take, as I've said this so many times, take the ball and the decision making out of Zach's hands. That's what makes Zach a better player. It doesn't have to be Pat Bev. Anyone.
Well, one of the things, I'd love to see Derek Rose, but it'd break my heart if he ever got injured. I wouldn't be able to take it. I'd actually be crying. I really would. But what I would say is, if we're going to re-sign Pat Bev to a minimum, then I don't want Ayo to come back. One of them two. We don't need both. Defensive first point guards. Pat Bev, he tells Zach to give me the ball and get out of the way, but like, if you have Ayo, Pat Bev, and say Caruso, that's 3 of your 5 people that can't shoot threes.
Mm-hmm.
It's destroying us. It's going to be heartbreaking because with this roster, I love everyone. Each one of the guys is great, but something's got to go. Like,
but like, I mean, if your best friend is playing on the team with you, but your best friend is losing you the games or not getting you the wins, let's put it that way, more so than losing you the games, you'll still be best mates, but he can go and play somewhere else. Thanks. Do you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like you said, when Pat Bev came, he got us over the hump. Sorry, we didn't make the playoffs. So Pat Bev was nice, but
would have done if Bev was there from the start.
Maybe.
We'll never know, I guess.
Like I say, if we have Pat Bev as like a bench guy, come in as veteran leadership, absolutely. But that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, for me with Pat Bev, obviously, we know what he is. We know how he talks, all that. I think he can still do a job, but it'd have to be on a vet minimum. And obviously, I threw his name in there. Then I know you wanted to talk about it, Neill. D Rose.
Yeah.
Is that a legit option? Either of you two?
I think it's a legit option. I don't think it's a number 1 option. It certainly can't be the move. As I kind of touched on earlier on, he has to come in a mentor role. He'll be a bench player. He may not even see many minutes, but he does present this respected point guard, ex-MVP, comes with this wealth of experience, hometown hero, returning home. It has all the makings of this fabulous end to his career. And if he could bring those players forward with any kind of mentorship, I'm all for it. Once it's cheap, I'm all for it. But it can't be the answer. It can't be the answer. He's not the answer.
Yeah, and I mean, before I let you have your say, Sam, for me, it just doesn't fill any of the needs that we've got. He's not a renowned 3-point shooter. You're always running the risk of health, obviously, with someone like D Rose. And to me, you've got to put that sentimental side opinion to one side and think to yourself, does he benefit the team in any way? And apart from that leadership and the mentorship, which at the minute we're getting out of Demar, to me, there's no need for him to be on the team. And I'm the same as anyone. I'd love to see him back in Chicago. I want to see him retire as a Bull. But if he thinks that he can still play at the NBA level, which I'm sure he does, I'd rather he went somewhere else rather than sit as an end bench guy at Bulls. That, to me, it'd be a sign-in to appease the fan base and say, well, we did something. Look, we brought D Rose home. So, what do you think, Sam?
Well, as you boys know, I'm very pessimistic at the best of times. So, one thing I would say though is, could you imagine the storyline? Derek Rose comes home, takes the Bulls into the playoffs. If that's like a 1-season turnaround, that could be spectacular. Get this city of Chicago behind this team again, because AK, I know obviously he made the big splashes when he came, but he's lost the crowd, he's lost the fan base. Most of us are, like you said, getting rid of Julian Phillips. See, it is easy to say, actually. God damn it. Oh, that's embarrassing. Right, get rid of this. Post-edit, get rid of this. All right. But we're down on the signing because he's not going to be impactful from day one, and we're all against AK for some kind of reason. Obviously, last trade deadline being number one for me. But if he brings the Euros back and we get into the playoffs, all this kind of stuff, he might win the crowd back again. You might realize what Chicago is. It's a very hypothetical, but it's not a basketball move.
No.
So, yeah.
Certainly not on the floor anyway. It could be in the locker room.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, I mean, well, I guess we'll find out from Friday, really. I mean, I've got nothing else on free agency. I don't know if either of you two have.
No, I have nothing else to add. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really hoping that AK proves the naysayers wrong and doesn't let down the people who are still trying to hang on to that little snippet of belief. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Sam? The other players that you throw in to wind me up?
Well, obviously CP3, number one option, But one of the things is like, obviously it's free agency, but we can still, make the trades and all this kind of stuff. So is there, for example, everyone's kind of been saying about DeMar being the first one out the door and what that can bring in, but I don't know about you guys. I was all for getting rid of DeMar because obviously his game kind of slows down the offense. It doesn't work well with Zach. But now that I see him literally mentoring every young guy on our roster, I'm kind of like, please don't leave us.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've always liked what DeMar brings, like what he's done. And then the more I see of him now, the more I'm thinking, we can't let him go.
Yeah,
and that's kind of where my other rant was going to go earlier on. Is I think Bulls fans have got to be better on social media. Now, obviously, everyone knows that I do the socials for Sea Red UK, and a lot of that lately has been posting the workout video. And I woke up this morning to a couple of comments that started my day off, and I was just thinking, shut up. And as I've said before, I know what they are. The NBA players working in an empty gym. I don't need to be told that. I can see that myself. If you don't like it, move on. You don't need to comment on it. If you're going to slate players for not doing anything, not trying to develop or whatever, then look at the workout videos. You know what I mean? They're in there off their own back doing this stuff before they even come back to meeting up with the team. You can't criticize a player for what he's doing in the gym because you can only criticize him to me when he's on the court. All these people that are saying, great, they're working out in an empty gym. I want to see him do it in an NBA game. I don't know if it's just me, but there's no NBA games on at the minute.
No, not for a little while.
It's not just you.
So you're not going to see him do it in an NBA game. And that leads me into the P. Will going into the Queen City Pro-Am.
Oh, yes.
27 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. I don't know how many minutes he played. Now, P. Will's not going 100% in that.
No.
And all the people that are saying he's playing against plumbers, that's disrespectful to the people that he's playing against, in my opinion, because I guarantee that half of them were pretty close to making the NBA or a decent level anyway. They're going to up the game when they see someone like P. Will on the court. And from what I've seen, my non-Bulls guy, Montrezl Harrell, is going to be in it tonight. So it'd be going to be the same as that. You know what I mean? They're going to up the game because they're against a legit NBA player. And then so when people say, oh, I could put up 30 points against that defense, you probably could. I probably could, and I'm 5 foot fuck all. But you can't then turn around and say, I want to see P. Will do it on an NBA court. And then say, well, where is he in all the work videos? And then criticize him for playing in a pro run. Where's he meant to develop? Where's he meant to put the work in to develop his aggression to the rim, his mentality, whatever? Do you know what I mean? Do you want him to go into hiding all summer? and not take part in all this sort of stuff.
Mhm.
You know, and so I just think, when you see the videos and stuff like that, yeah, they are NBA players working out in an empty gym. Shock horror. But appreciate it for what it is. You know what I mean? They're all doing it, and apart from Zach, apparently. But I'm sure Zach's doing it. He's just not filming it.
Yeah.
So to me, you can't want to see him doing stuff, and then when you see him doing stuff, say, "Oh well, I could do that." You probably could, but at the end of the day, you're not playing in the NBA, so shut the fuck up. That's
Yeah,
just, yeah. Like I say, I woke up in a bad mood, and that just pissed me off even more. So
yeah. I saw one comment that was like, "Oh, it'd be nice if Zach Levine joined them." But since Zach joined the Bulls, he does his LA workouts with his dad, doesn't he? Where he's like
Yeah.
flipping tires every single day and all this crazy stuff for like running on sand. And yeah, that's why Zach always comes in a little bit better in some kind of aspect. But because he's not in one video, everyone's like, "Oh, where's Zach? He's meant to be our star guy."
yeah, but like the thing is, Zach's not the only player that hasn't been seen in workouts. You know what I mean? Just because they're not filming it doesn't mean they're not doing it.
Right.
DeMar's obviously wanting to go down this route of being the mentor, as I keep addressing him.
And you're not even a Harry Potter fan. Come on. Not even a Harry Potter fan.
No, lost on him.
Oh, it's just saying Dementor, like it's not like,
But he's going down that Kobe route, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? He's wanting to mentor the younger guys and stuff like that, and that's it. But if Zach, at the end of the day, they've spent however many months of the season together, they're not going to spend every minute of the off season together either. So that's it. I think people have just got to be better. And if you can't be better, shut up.
Do better.
Yeah. So yeah,
do
that's me.
better.
That's me ranted out and nothing else to say.
I was expecting more passion. I thought you'd be throwing things, Laura's getting smashed in the corner.
I was gonna say I would throw my hat, but I'll probably knock my flag down. So
wait till the season starts for that.
Oh yeah. 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was always weird. Sorry, go on.
Go on. No, go on.
It's weird, but like we watch these players for at least 82 games of the season. Why should we not be excited by them putting in work together? Like I say, you've got Dale and Terry and Patrick Williams, who could be the future of the Bulls, and they're learning from DeMar DeRozan in this like 51-day workout camp at 6 a.m. Who's not excited by that? Come on.
Yeah. Exactly.
Besides, we've got.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. This is the playoffs for us. Yeah. This is what we get.
And that's it, but my rant on my personal account was to other creators, if you're going to share the content, at least credit the source.
Okay.
So as I do, I go onto Instagram and I get the videos. You just throw me with that. I get the videos, but I always credit where I got the videos from. And then all of a sudden the videos start going around on Twitter, but it's as if they're the only person that's found it. And I just think, end of the day, we're all creators. Even the Bulls media team are creators. So if they've created a video that you're going to share and it's not a direct retweet or something like that, at least credit them for it, because they're putting in the work to create that content for us to see and for us as creators, fellow creators, to share. Yeah, that's me ranted out now.
It's like what you said on, I think it was last week to the week before. You said the fact that like there's a lot of fake news from these fake accounts out there that just want to be clickbait and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's why C-Red UK is more authentic. Like, you clearly kind of find these videos and you credit to who it's to and all this kind of stuff, and you tag the players if necessary and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's different levels to being a content creator.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think all credit should be given to Matt for that on behalf of C-Red UK. Does a great job.
I'll take that.
He does.
Yeah. See, I can be nice sometimes.
But yeah, I've got nothing else. I don't know if you still have.
The only thing I was going to say, if Sam wants to take this opportunity just to explain a little bit about kind of what he's providing on the website.
Yeah. Okay, so as these guys have mentioned quite a few times, we've got the website up and running, and on the blog we've now got a good few writers now. We've got me and Brett that do a majority of the work, but we get a few guest writers here and there, and everyone adds their own styles to their own pieces. Like Mo, we did a blog would have been midway through last week, and it's from a guy called Mo, and obviously he's very stats based. Brett also, he's putting on today, actually. I think it'll be shared all over the socials after this has been recorded. But he's done a really good job. And he's actually highlighted an issue that I didn't even think of. And it was like the BBC's coverage, as of basketball in the NBA. Obviously, being in the UK, we watch like League Pass and all this kind of stuff. So we actually addressed some of the commentary issues from when you guys were in Paris. The commentary for that was awful. He puts a great couple of paragraphs together where he's sort of describing how it was like 5 seconds after the actual play. Like we could see the play happening, and the commentary would be like 5 seconds later. Now, me personally, I kind of go for more like opinion-based stuff because, as you guys could see, I like a lot of dad jokes. I like to make things a bit, try to take the seriousness out of it sometimes, but I am quite pessimistic. So I have been sort of doing some research into the draft guys, as these guys have mentioned, and obviously now Turkish Bitty is now not going to be one, so I'll keep that safe for a later day. But in terms of the stuff that we've got coming, it's more draft based, but I don't know about you guys, but I can't wait for Summer League. Get some games going, get to see our young players, and that's when obviously the writing from the off season will sort of step up and go from there. We can see the young players, see what the future could be, and hopefully have a few questions answered.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. I know, it's only Summer League, but at the same time, we got a great kick out of Summer League last season. Or should I say last off season? And I'm looking forward to you get a real taste of some of these players that could potentially become mainstream players going into the future. And it's, especially with new acquisitions, that's your first taste of what they're going to be like. And I enjoy it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, well, like I say, we'll be back next week when we'll have a bit more free agency stuff to talk about. Obviously, legit stuff, not these rumours. And also that starts the build up to Summer League. As I've said many a time, I'm excited by Summer League. I always am. It's that nice little break in the middle of summer for a week. Obviously the schedule is out there. I've converted it to UK times for people that want to see it. But yeah, so I think next week it'll be a bit of free agency talk and build up to Summer League. So yeah, until I don't know if you want to let people know where they can find you, Sam, on the socials.
Well, I will be the guy in the comment section of every C Red UK post adding terrible jokes, but it's Sam with 2 M's _Bell. And if you want to follow me, I'm going to post all the blogs onto that. Obviously, I'll share some of Brett's stuff and Mo's stuff when he wants to write a little bit more, and so I'll go from there.
Yeah, and just want to say thanks for joining us finally.
Absolutely. I
know we've spoke about it for a while, and I'm sure now your nerves are out of the way. You know how easy it is.
I was a mess.
We'll get you back on again at some point.
Honestly, I thought there was going to be more fighting between me and you, but it's more like a calm therapy session of let's talk this out. So it's been a lot nicer. You're disappointed. You're not disappointed.
No. We've always referred to these as therapy sessions, haven't we, Matt? Like they're definitely a way of just talking it through, and a lot of the time it just kind of levels you off again. It's good.
Yeah, it really does help. I'll give it a credit. And actually, I've got one more thing. So obviously, I'm quite vocal on the group chat. So our main man Gary got me a present, and I want to show a bit of support for Darnell in the chat by showing off. Let me see. Can you see that?
No, it's out of focus.
Hang on. Is that any better?
No, pull it back.
Yeah. Oh, hang on.
There you go. Now, hold it up there. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny good.
No?
Try putting your face in it.
You what?
Drop
is it blurring?
Put your face. There you go.
Okay, is that working? No, that's not even working, is it? Oh. Basically, it's just classic Darnell with big letters. God damn it.
Yeah, shout out Gary and Darnell.
Oh, absolutely. I hope Darnell's doing well, and I hope Gary's doing whatever Gary's doing. That's
which could be anything.
Absolutely. It's all part of the charm.
But Yeah, like I say, appreciate you joining us, Sam, and I'm sure we'll get you back
Anytime.
on at some point in the future.
Yeah, hope so.
And until next week, I've been Matt. You can find me on Twitter at MattCRedUK. Find us on all the socials at CRedUK. And as Sam just said, don't forget to head over to creduk.com for all our written pieces.
And you can find me on Twitter at Neill UK. Thanks once again to everyone for tuning in. Whether you are watching or listening, please subscribe and review. From Matt and myself, and from Sam, remember, it's a Chicago Bulls thing wherever you are in the world. Until next time, see red, people.
Percolator. It's time for the percolator. Percolator.